Just when you thought Mercedes-Benz had way too many crossovers in their lineup, I'm here just outside of Park City, Utah, where they've just taken the covers off the all-new 2020 GLB. This is a new SUV that's based off the same platform that underpins the A-Class sedan, and it should slot nicely between the smaller GLA and, of course, their top-selling GLC crossover. But let's take a first look. So if the GLB name is a little confusing to you, the last time we actually saw a B name, it was known as the B-Class, where it was an electrified kind of minivan-like station wagon. It didn't do well for Mercedes-Benz, and since crossovers do extremely well here in America, it's no surprise to me that it's been reborn as a crossover vehicle. You can see the front fascia takes a lot of design cues from the current crop of Mercedes-Benz products. You have these LED headlights with their signature LED running lights. These are the premium upgraded LEDs, which are optional. I believe an LED, a regular LED, will be standard equipment. I'll have to double check the specs whenever Mercedes-Benz has it available. This grille is very reminiscent of the rest of the vehicles in their lineup. The lower part of the fascia here doesn't kind of have those big openings with the grille, but I do like this red color with the black accents. This, as I said before, underpins the same vehicle as the Mercedes-Benz A-Class. Now, when this vehicle goes on sale later this year, it'll launch with just one engine option. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, their new 4-cylinder engine family. It makes 221 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Front-wheel drive will actually be standard, and then their 4MATIC all-wheel drive will be an option, which has the ability to appropriate the power 50/50. It all goes out through a 9-speed automatic transmission, and this vehicle should be able to go off-road because Mercedes-Benz says it'll have an off-road mode and it'll have pretty good off-road capability. It's one of the differentiating factors between this and the GLC. You can see when you have the GLC and the GLB parked next to each other, these two vehicles are roughly the same size. Even though they don't share a same platform, Mercedes-Benz says the wheelbase is about 1.5 inches shorter versus the GLC, and it's about 1.5 inches shorter in overall length. So this is much larger than the GLA, which has about 5 inches shorter in the overall length versus this vehicle. It's basically kind of, to me, like the boxy version of the GLC. It reminds me a lot of a miniaturized G-Wagon, or maybe an updated version of the GLK, which is much more boxy than this vehicle. You can see this particular one with the red and the black wheels looks very good. It's got these AMG style spoke wheels, and it'll have a fixed suspension. Mercedes-Benz will not offer their Airmatic air suspension on this vehicle, but they did promise it will have very good off-road capability. Now you can see the rest of the profile of this vehicle, very boxy design, which should do well with American buyers. Boxy SUVs just tend to do well, and its overall length at 182 inches long is, again, about 1 inch shorter than the GLC. So I imagine this thing is going to start cannibalizing sales from the GLC. I was very confused onto why they had to offer a vehicle that's roughly the same size, but remember, this car offers a 3rd row of seats, which is something you cannot get on the GLA or the GLC. Now at the rear, you can see it takes a lot of design cues from the current crop of Mercedes-Benz products, especially their SUV family. These very skinny LED taillights, which are a full LED design. They basically look like they were lifted straight off of the GLC and the GLS. Again, the names are starting to confuse me. This is definitely going to start confusing a lot of people in terms of the actual name and the look. But overall, you can see the boxy design is carried over here. I think it looks better than the GLS. I like the red color here with the integrated dual exhaust. It's got this really nice rear diffuser here with these nicely integrated parking sensors. So again, some of you are probably going to confuse this thing for a GLC or maybe even a GLS, but hey, SUVs are what sells here in America. But you can see opening up the liftgate of this particular one, Mercedes-Benz actually says that the cargo capacity is some of the best in the industry in terms of the compact arena. This particular one here looks like it's the 5-passenger model, but they did say that you get around 20 cubic feet of space with the seats up. Fold down the 2nd row seats and you get around 62 cubic feet of space. So that's significantly more than what you get in the GLA and a little bit less than what you get in the GLC, which is about, like I said, about 2.5 or 1.5 inches longer in the overall length. So stepping inside the all-new GLB, I have to admit, holy crap, this cabin is very impressive, especially in this particular one that I switched into versus the one that was outside. The interior is lit up. It's got this beautiful LED lighting that accentuates the vents, it accentuates the lines in the dashboard. I believe you can also change the color of that. They offer like 64 different colors that you could customize this interior to. Now, because this is based off of the A-Class platform, you have the latest MBUX infotainment system. So you basically get two 10-inch monitors here that are side by side to create almost a 20-inch monitor, basically. So a plethora wall of screens. And in terms of the materials, for an entry-level model, I'm blown away with the quality of this interior. Just like I said with the A-Class and CLA, you have the MB-Tex stitching on the actual dashboard. It's got real genuine stitching. You have aluminum trim. This particular one here has some nice wood grain trim with the piano black accent trim. You have more stitching on the door panels. I have 3-person memory seats, which are power adjustable seats, of course, with a heated and cooled function. You have window switches here, which feel very solid. You've got one-touch automatic all up-down windows. You have aluminum trim over here. And then, of course, with MBUX, you have the augmented reality GPS, which I just experienced today in the all-new GLS SUV, which is their largest SUV. It basically will take the forward-facing camera and graft onto the GPS what the camera sees and overlay the actual street names and the turns, so you no longer are going to be missing turns. You have the artificial intelligence feature, which basically gives you voice commands, like where you can say things like, "Hey Mercedes, turn the climate control system to 72 degrees," or "Hey Mercedes, find me the nearest 5-star gluten-free restaurant." It'll do that. It'll find that restaurant for you based on your location. It'll use the 4G LTE. And then, of course, being a Mercedes products, you have their latest safety tech features with their traffic jam assistance, their pre-sense with automatic braking, which is standard, although the driver assistance where it has adaptive cruise control should be an optional feature. I do like the steering wheel as well. It's got a tilt telescoping function. It's just a manual tilt telescoping. It's got the new switchgear here. You have an available head-up display. And then these seats are actually really comfortable. They offer a thigh extension over here with about 10 different ways of adjustability. You can control the MBUX from the touchscreen over here, the touchpad on the steering wheel here, or the actual touchpad over here. You have basically the same controls on the other Mercedes-Benz products. You have a wireless charger here, you have cup holders, you have a nice big center console here with USB-C output jacks, plethora throughout the interior. The glove compartment you can see here is damped, it's lined with felt. It's a pretty good size. I mean, I think this interior could easily be the best in the segment. It's really gonna come down to the price of this vehicle. So let's hop into the back seat, because this is supposed to be a family car, and see how the space compares. Now, getting into the second row here, this is probably where most families are gonna end up using the GLB for carrying your adults or your kids. Mercedes-Benz says that you could theoretically fit up to 4 car seats in this vehicle. So let me get back here. Let me show you guys the space. They actually claim that it has 38 inches of legroom back here, which is plenty. This is more than what you get in a lot of the compact competition. The seats themselves, as you saw, they slide forward and back to give third row passengers a little bit more space. You have a nice armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. The panoramic sunroof in here is nice, lets in a lot of light, and you also have that stitching back here, that leatherette stitching here, and some rear seat vents. I don't see any heated rear seat, heated second row seats, so I'd have to double check the spec sheets whenever this vehicle does go on sale. But overall, the second row, this is going to be the most usable aspect, but let's hop into the third row and see if it is actually usable for shorter adults like myself. Now, before I end this video, I did find one that actually has a third row of seats, so I want to actually show you guys if the third row is actually usable, because this is a really small car, and I apologize for all the noise, but you can see this second row here does have the ability to slide forward and back, but when you actually slide it forward, there's no leg room back here to actually give people any space. So that's kind of an issue that I'm seeing here. But let me move the seat back here. See, you pull this lever here, and it pulls the seat forward. And let me show you guys what it's like in the third row here. Now, hopping into the third row, the space is pretty tight. Oh, I'm 5'7", I'm a shorty, but getting back here, I am noticing there's actually foot space underneath this second row of seats, although I did have to push the seat up pretty forward. It's gonna be uncomfortable for people in the second row, for adults at least, but if you push the seat forward, there actually is pretty good headroom back here, decent leg room. However, I imagine that, because the seat also does recline, if I had it actually pushed all the way back, it would probably be uncomfortable. My knees would be, up against the seat back here. But in a pinch, if you actually have to keep, 7 people in this car, if you have to put 7 people, you could probably do kids that are under 5'7", like my height, or if you do adults, they need to be under 5'9" on shorter trips. Otherwise, they're going to be pretty uncomfortable. You're really just going to be using this for kids or putting people that you don't like in the third row here. But it's very cool that they offer a feature like this. And I think that a lot of customers are going to end up choosing something like this because it's got a really great size. Because I just drove the new GLS. It was a little too big on the outside for some people. This has the nice smaller size of a growing family that doesn't necessarily have, big, teenage kids, really tall kids yet. And this could easily fit 7 people in a pinch. For Redline Reviews here in Park City, Utah at the Mercedes-Benz GLS Media Drive, I'm Sofyan Bey.